The world just celebrated the arrival of 2023 with extra joy. Crowds at public celebrations seem to signal a year of returning to normal. But in China, the beginning of 2023 looks eerily similar to the beginning of 2020, perhaps worse. After 3 years of stringent lockdown, China abruptly removed all COVID restrictions overnight. One direct impact on the world is that Chinese tourists are expected to flood out of the country, and many are alarmed. At least 15 countries, including the United States, have introduced additional measures for travelers from China. The Communist Party, right on cue, just as in 2020, condemned such measures as racist and xenophobic. But I highly doubt that that's why so many countries are taking action. What the world sees in China is quite alarming. Here are some known facts about China's current COVID situation. It roughly coincides with the zero COVID policy change in mid-December. The surge appears to be the most severe that the world has yet seen. BBC journalist Stephen McDonnell, who lives in Beijing, said that at least half of Beijing's 20 million population were infected. Other sources have put it at 80%. Social media bloggers concur. Almost everyone I know is positive. That seems to be the most common remark. Personal friends of mine who have family in China have said infections are over 90%. Images from hospitals are shocking. Flooded with patients showing severe symptoms, the entire health system has been paralyzed. Social media reports long lines, floors covered with bodies, some alive, some dead. Medical equipment and drugs have long run out, including basic fever medicine and oxygen tanks. But those who get into the hospital are still lucky, because many others can't squeeze in at the door or can't find ambulance services. Hospital staff are either extremely overworked or are sick with COVID themselves. As always, we're left guessing the veracity of the above observations, and China's answers only present more questions. Let's focus on 3 of the bigger questions. No credible statistics are available, but there's no question the death toll is high. Some Western experts have estimated a recent peak of 11,000 deaths per day. It's believed at least 110,000 died in December. These estimates are on the conservative end. Crematorium activity helps make these estimates. They're running 24/7. But still, social media is filled with images of bodies piling up in hospitals, funeral homes, or temporary storage locations. There's a shortage of coffins. Bodies are often burned in body bags or bed sheets. The crisis is so severe that local governments are trying to build new crematoriums, just like how they built quarantine centers not so long ago. Job postings for crematorium designers and engineers are many. Despite all this, China still reports a total of 12 deaths for the month of December. Multiple resources tell that doctors are ordered to not report COVID as the cause of death. A heartbroken father from Anhui province told the Epoch Times that his 27-year-old son died of COVID. The crematorium manager marveled at the doctor's courage to write COVID as the cause of death because he too had received orders that no crematoriums were allowed to assign death to COVID. All recent deaths at this crematorium were labeled as lung infection or other diseases. A similar report showcased a crematorium that required a signed statement from family members that the deceased did not die of COVID. What variants are circulating? The official line says Omicron, but that's doubtful. Some social media users have reported very unusual symptoms. This young lady found herself with a mustache after being hit by COVID. A man's tongue and teeth turned black, and this person could hardly open his swollen eyes. More commonly, social media reports that severe pneumonia-like symptoms, painful breathing, and high fever are all very common. We also know that many of the known deaths have white lung, a term that describes medical scans of irreparable lungs. And many of these victims had very rapid onset without any upper respiratory symptoms. The illness went immediately to the lungs. Because no answer can be found through official channels, fear is encouraging any and all theories. It could be the original virus, it could be a new variant, or it could be a new virus altogether. We don't have a firm handle on when this current surge started. Chinese media reports say that it happened in December, immediately following the removal of zero-COVID measures, which of course coincided with nationwide protests. However, a senior CCP official told RFA that the outbreak was already very severe in October. This is precisely when the 20th Congress was taking place, which would explain why the CCP would have kept it quiet. At least one WHO official has also said that the surge began well before the relaxing of zero COVID. So if the spread was still happening during zero COVID, how? The cover-up and its timing is remarkably similar to what we saw 3 years ago. The world began to hear about a breakout in Wuhan in December 2019. Most of us now believe it started much earlier. At least as early as October 2019, for instance, the CCP started to buy out facial masks and other related medical products from around the world. Without answers to these questions, the world is rightfully nervous about the influx of Chinese tourists, especially with Chinese New Year approaching. As for China's complaint about racism, it obviously doesn't hold water. Furthermore, China for months was banning foreigners from entering China. Was that not racist? Having implemented the most strict COVID measures on the planet, China should understand why some countries want to use caution. While there are many eerie similarities between 3 years ago and now, there is one substantial difference. The Communist Party's credibility across the globe may be at an all-time low. The WHO, you'll remember, didn't even set foot in the Wuhan lab during their investigation, and for at least a year and a half praised China's draconian approach as if it were the gold standard. It's very significant that even the WHO is now officially urging China for more transparency and credibility. That speaks volumes. And it also offers hope that the CCP won't be able to leverage another wave of pandemic in its favor. Thanks for joining us at Eye on China. We'll see you next time.